Movement in video games can define almost everything we do, from traversing the landscape to dealing with enemies. Good intentional movement is one of the most necessary components needed in making a game fun, and touches any type of game that involves you controlling someone or something directly, with platforming games being one of the biggest genres to make use of movement for obvious reasons. When devs take a platformer and add more than just having a jump button, things can get pretty wild really quickly, as the more movement options you give to the player, the more they can take advantage of the game's mechanics to do some crazy shit. Games like Mario 64 that add in things like long jumping, side hopping, backflipping, and many other movement-based mechanics have players showing you absolute peak in games like this, with entire speedruns being built around these mechanics, like the very famously used backwards long jumping being exploited to skip the infinite staircase. I like to call games with advanced movement mechanics like this parkour platformers, or games that have heavy elements of parkour like rolling, sliding, or wall running that are explicitly used to allow the player to get around these platformer-like environments easier. I want to take a look at a few of them today that just have really got my attention span by the good old gonads lately. You know what I'm saying? Without further ado, let's dive into some parkour platformers. Pseudo Regalia has you playing as an anthropomorphic, bottom-heavy goat lady thing named Sybil, who wakes up in this stank-ass dungeon and just kind of travels her way around this place in a Metroidvania-style 3D platformer that looks akin to a Prime-era N64 game. At first, your movement feels a little limited and kind of stiff, honestly, but the game's whole thing is traveling around this big-ass castle, finding these big-ass keys, and more importantly, finding movement upgrades to add to your arsenal that quite literally changes how you play the game. The movement is so tight and slick to the point where this game damn near feels like butter, and I mean that literally because sometimes it gets to be a little too slick. I do mean when I say that this game's controls are super tight though. Slide jumping, wall kicking, and this ground pound that lets you spring jump have you operating at Mach 5 around the whole goddamn map by the late game, and it makes you feel so unbelievably free, especially considering that there are areas that are there to make you use certain upgrades, but if you're sly enough you can just do this. The movement system gets to be pretty deep, and it feels floaty and lightweight, just adding to the absolute speed and fun of this game. With this being a Metroidvania where the map doesn't show you exactly where you are in each room, and me being dog shit at directions. Hey yo, where the fuck am I? I got lost constantly, but because of the movement in the game, I never really felt bored, and would always find some little extra thing to do, like the time trials that help you unlock more costumes. The time trials really help you nail down the movement too, since they can be quite challenging to get the base time on. Checkpoints are put in the trials to make you really flex those platforming muscles, and every time I actually managed to hit the time on one, I actually felt like I got that much better at navigating the world. The art style is quite simple, but very stylistically appealing for what it was trying to go for. You have areas that are open and outside with nice light colors, to dark and genuinely creepy locations that make you feel like you're inside the deep, dark depths of some creepy castle. Man, I really feel like I'm in the deep, dark depths of some creepy castle. One of my favorite locations in this game is the Twilight Theater, where everything has this nice noir vibe, which is so strange since it's in the middle of a medieval castle, but whatever, I'm all for it. Something else really important to mention is the music. This has one of my favorite game OSTs I've heard in quite a long time. There's the haunting tones when you travel around Castle Sensa. The drunken swing of the listless library, and the jazzy bass lines of the Twilight Theater. Every single area has music that slaps and adds a nice vibe to this fast-paced parkour platformer in a way that just goes perfectly with the overall aesthetic of the game. While the game does feel absolutely amazing to play, it does have some shortcomings that I gotta mention before you click the purchase button, you know what I'm saying. You carry around this overly exaggerated police baton that is a pretty dope weapon in theory, since you can do stuff like using it as a platform to jump off of when you throw it. But from the beginning to the middle of the game, where you still don't have a bulk of the upgrades, fighting can be an absolute chore, man. God. Granted, you don't have to fight hardly anything if you really don't want to, but it does get annoying for those rooms where you're kind of trapped and made to fight stuff. It can get quite annoying since Sybil's hurt box is so finicky that even touching something like this armor just hurts you, making you stay back from enemies with the fear of even just coming in contact with one of them. Occasionally, you'll also get hit with attacks that will make Sybil drop her weapon, leaving you very vulnerable to other attacks until you pick it up. I don't think this is a bad thing. In fact, I think it's quite unique and adds another layer to the depth of the game. Sometimes the combat gets brought into the platforming, which is a really nice touch, and when it works, it's super fucking fun. But if you get hit when trying to traverse, brother, I'm sorry, but this shit becomes infuriating after a while. And going back to the hitbox, that's where the problem kind of stems from. Not only that, but while the enemy designs that are in the game are quite cute, there isn't really a whole lot of variety to them. Especially considering that I only ever dealt with like 2 bosses the whole game. There's a total of 8 different enemies through the whole game, with some enemies only really serving the purpose of raising your magic meter to heal yourself, or to help you navigate to unreachable areas once you get certain abilities. One other thing that made it tier players is the manual saving, which I, for one, kind of like, actually. Yeah, bro, don't be fucking up on that save, bro, because if you forgot, bro, you're going back about 2-3 hours when you start playing. I'm sorry. This also leads me to say that this game is quite short, like 10 hours long. I'd even go as far as to say that it's criminally short because it's that good of a parkour platformer that when I finished it, I really wanted nothing more than to just have a little bit more time to play, but for the asking price of the game, for what you get, it's honestly just enough. Big Catch Tackle Box is a prologue to the Big Catch main game. That is a game yet to have a release date, which is crazy considering just how good the Tackle Box feels and how much they've packed into this free prequel. The essence of the prologue in a nutshell is you're this dude named Tackle, and he's a fisherman and rival to the main game's protagonist, Castor. And you've been tasked with finishing your training before going to work for your new boss, Chef Lure, who Castor also works for. With this tackle box that we've been given, according to the devs, this is just a taste of what's to come into the full game, and I'm really excited because this game left a big impression on me. Right off the bat, the game hits you with a tutorial area that gives you the rundown of the game's controls. Let me be clear, this game is not Pseudo Regalia in how it controls. In fact, it's much heavier, much weightier, but it's still really, really fast. It feels like gravity really has an effect on the way Tackle moves, like when he runs down a slope, he picks up speed like you would IRL. The game has cool little mechanics like this weird ice skate twirl jump thing or wall jumping that feels absolutely amazing when you get the hang of it. Did I also mention that there's Sonic Adventure 2 rail grinding? I mean, goddamn. A big mechanic of the game is Tackle's almighty fishing rod, a tool you can use to maneuver around the world and also to catch fish. You can swing from it, sand surf, pull things, fling yourself, and much more, which adds a really nice spin on the traditional collectathon platformer. Speaking of which, this game is a lot more akin to the traditional 3D platformer, with the collectathon fish and relics together and the 3-hit health bar that you can replenish off of these fruits you can fish out of the ground. The overall vibe of the game screams at Sly Cooper or Klonoa type, and I absolutely love it. Couple this with an insanely appealing aesthetic of desert, ancient temples, and really cool character designs, as well as an absolute banger of a soundtrack that really nails the vibe of traveling around an ancient desert architecture, and it's just a recipe for a game that just knocks it out of the park with its presentation. On that note, I think the strongest aspect of this game is the design. Tackle and his people are these bird-like fellas called Fiscari that are fully blacked out with an excellent feel for maneuvering through water. Bro is absolutely dripping right now, bro. Look at this shit, man. Boy, got that shit on, bro. He got that shit on. This game's charm is through the roof. The colors pop so well, the fish looks so goofy, the music muffles when you submerge underwater, the characters are animated so lively. It's all just so pleasing to experience. This game also has a very unique way of handling the graphic settings. Instead of the traditional low, medium, high, ultra type of graphic settings, this game downscales by adding retro filters like the emulation setting, or my personal favorite, the composite setting, which makes me feel like I'm playing this game directly on a PS2 or an OG Xbox. This is probably some of the best composite emulation I've ever seen in a game, and it just absolutely blasts me with nostalgia. The difficulty and level design is something where you're either gonna love it or hate it. This game is not the easiest, with many jumps being really tight to make, and oftentimes one mistake has you rescaling whole structures Bennett Foddy style unless you get the fishing rod that acts as a checkpoint. Did I mention there's a lot of verticality to it? It's not necessarily a bad thing, but more of an observation. Another thing that may deter players from wanting to play through this game is, in order to unlock the final dungeon, you have to collect all the collectibles in this bite-sized adventure. Can you guess how many collectibles? Over 600. It's great for those of you who are completionists, but I'm not. Once I finish an area and I miss one coin, I get pissed off trying to track that one coin down unless I use a guide. I will say that the silver lining to this is the compass proximity sensor, a device that's with you to point out fish and coins to collect once you collect a certain amount for each. Even still, I don't think hiding the game's final dungeon behind collecting 600 fucking coins is the right way to do it. I think collecting all the fish, which is kind of the goal of the game anyway, should be enough for something like this, but, you know, whatever. I would have much rather got a different costume or a fishing rod or something for getting all the collectibles, you know, like something that's totally optional. That being said, this is still something that's heavily on my radar, and I really look forward to the full release because this game's world is just a joy to be in. You guys should check it out. I mean, it's free. It's free. Free. That spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Like, you're talking like a game that's 7 to 10, maybe 15 hours if you really, like, stretch it, for free. And it's not even the full game yet. What are you doing? This is a weird one. This game is more of a parkour simulator than a parkour platformer, but you parkour on platforms so it fits the bill in an oddly unique way. The controls feel bizarre, which is par for the course when it comes to sim games, but this time around it feels extra weird to control, especially considering the previous two games I talked about being much more traditional. The game is fun, but has a steep learning curve when trying to learn how to move fast and fluidly, with mistakes coming out of each run more often than not. You can't just fall from a great height and be perfectly fine. Oh, no. You have to roll out of your drop. If you fuck up a front flip, you ragdoll. If you go over this low wall wrong, you ragdoll. Shit, you can just jump the wrong way, and you ragdoll. It's punishing in a way that makes you have to get a feel for the movement and think about that movement in an entirely different way from other platformers where they simply just work by pressing A or some arbitrary button like that. You can use the right trigger to sprint, you use the left trigger to grab walls and vault over stuff or run across thin surfaces. There are dedicated buttons used specifically for actual parkour moves like handsprings and whatever the fuck this is. All of it just feels so weird, but when it finally clicks, that's when the game actually starts. Yeah, oh shit, check this shit out right here, yes sir, oh shit, oh damn, that shit's oh my god, oh, shit, oh that shit, god damn. I also don't know why, but this game reminds me a lot of Skate 3 for some reason. Eventually, when you start running routes enough, you get a sense of the moves for specific runs and how to optimize them for max speed. There's even a button that slows down time to see flips and shit in action, which is really fucking sick, actually. I spent nearly an hour on this one run trying to get the best time possible and trying to make little adjustments each run to minimize time loss, which it is a little frustrating in the moment, but when you really get a feel for it, it starts to become really fun and super competitive. There isn't much to this game yet, admittedly, in terms of actual content, which makes sense since I've been following the dev on Instagram for a while. By the way, you should go give me a follow over there on Instagram right here, you know, link in the description, yeah. And following the progress he's made on it has been really cool. Although limited, you do get customization options for things like jackets, you know, headphones, pants, shoes, the good stuff. Along with 4 maps that you get to explore, with each map having several trials to complete and get the best time on, or get the highest score. Speaking of customization, I really hope at some point he does open up the Steam Workshop, because it's just begging for people to come and expand on this brilliant framework, but I understand why it's not there now, as the game needs more time in the oven. Clearly, he has ideas still baking and things to implement, so I give him a pass for now. That being said, there are places where you can get mods, and they get kind of ridiculous, like importing the entire Skate 3 map. Oh, that's what it reminded me of Skate 3. It's a little darker than usual. Well, the music in this game is pretty simple, as it's a small playlist of EDM tracks that play on loop while you're parkouring around the place. Like I said, the dev just put it out on early access not that long ago and literally dropped an announcement for a feature that sets this game apart even further from the previous two I mentioned. He just announced multiplayer. It's going to be dope seeing what a multiplayer mode in this game is going to be like and how the dev is going to accommodate the mode itself. I'm really looking forward to seeing what else he has in store for this game, as it has an insane amount of potential. But as of right now, again, only 4 maps, some time trials, some trick trials, and a handful of customization options. Godspeed to you, my brother. I look forward to all the new shit you got cooking in the parkour pot, you dig? Lately, I've come to really appreciate movement in video games, especially with platformers. I've just been finding a lot of stuff lately that just has movement as its primary focus. There's just banger after banger after banger, and it's made me want to gush a little bit. Made me want to tell my little audience, go check out some cool shit, man. Got me on the bed with my feet kicked up. Got the smile, you feel me? Anyway, thank you for enjoying this video. Thank you for giving me your eyes and your time for a little bit. If you're on your lunch break, hope your lunch break's going great. If you're at home just chilling, hope your chill time's going chill. And if you're in the car on the car ride going somewhere, man, I hope that you get to your destination safe. I'm Sam Yost, and I'll catch you guys later. See you, gang.